by minute, and it's getting worse in Queensland. There is a little bit of good news we've got for you this morning. The weather has cleared just enough to enable some search and rescue operations to get underway right throughout the southeast of the state. Here are the latest details for you at the moment. The official death toll, sadly, it is still at 10. We know the latest victim was a 4-year-old boy who drowned while being moved to safety at Marburg, which is near Ipswich. Another fact for you, entire families are thought to be among the more than 90 people who remain unaccounted for this morning. Now, sadly, all of the missing are in the Lockyer Valley, which is west of Brisbane. The Premier, Anna Bligh, has warned that emergency teams could face a very difficult, a very emotional task as they search for and possibly inevitably find more bodies today. 8 specialist counselling teams are now heading into the flood-affected areas to help people there. And finally, a very sobering statistic, and it's just hard to believe that 75% of Queensland has been declared a disaster zone at this stage. Now, Carl Stefanovic joins us again from Brisbane. Carl, I believe you've got some breaking news for us.
Wendy, this is evolving very quickly, this situation, as the floodwaters continue to rise. There's something new that goes wrong seemingly every minute of the day. We know that Energex has been very much on top of this situation, as we described before, about power. Well, I just received a text message saying that there was a possibility of a fire and explosions at Suncorp Stadium just happening in and around the transformers, I think at the Milton substation, which was causing a little bit of concern for firefighters. But Mike Swanson from Energex joins me now. He can probably give us a little bit more information, although probably not a lot. I know it's just happening, this situation, but is there anything that you know about it at this point?
I've just checked with our control centre, Carl. We've had no alarms or no emergency advice from that area around Milton. There is a major Energex substation there that feeds around about 10,000 homes and businesses through the Auckland Flower Red Hill area. And we should know more in minutes, but at this stage we have no confirmation.
Again, to reiterate, this is why it's a dangerous situation and why you are having to close off power to certain areas as those water levels come up. We know the Milton area itself is very susceptible to flooding, and I saw those floodwaters firsthand last night. So it's something that you are very conscious of, and this is the reason why power has to go off.
That's exactly right. We had to interrupt power to around about 20,000 homes in Ipswich last night for that very reason. Our backbone network is 11,000 volts. 11,000 volts and muddy water does not play well together. And for safety, because that's our priority, it's necessary to turn off power when the floodwaters come close to our assets. Now, you're right, Milton, Auckland Flower, West End, those areas are already off. There's around 7,000 homes in Brisbane already without power due to the river rising to its peak at around about 3 o'clock this afternoon.
How many other homes can you paint a broader picture around the CBD and also surrounding areas?
In the CBD, there are about 10 city blocks that have substations that are in the basement, and according to the flood maps and information we've received from the council, which is roughly aligned to 1974 levels, we may have to interrupt power to anything up to about 10 city blocks. Now, that work has already started. We had to take off supply to the bottom corner of Mary Street, Margaret Street, that area last night. And as we speak, we're interrupting supply to about another 6 city blocks. According to the river heights that we're getting from the Bureau today, that should be sufficient. However, it may be necessary with the higher water tomorrow to isolate supply back about 10 city blocks.
Last night it was a potential 100,000, and Anna Bligh came out about half an hour ago and said this is the worst case scenario that Queensland is facing. You would know all that, having been privy to modelling, which you need anyway to be able to access which of those substations you may have to turn off. But she's working on 5.5 metres. If that transpires at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, what potential do we have for the number of customers that may lose power?
We have around 400 high voltage connection points in low-lying areas around the Brisbane area. Like I say, those areas of Oxley and the inner city, and then further downriver. We're watching those. According to the flood maps, if the water does get to that 5.7 metres tomorrow, those 400 connection points will be underwater. We'll need to interrupt power progressively through those areas. They will be the same areas that are suffering inundation. So people live on hills or have looked at the maps and realised they're well clear of the water. There's no need to expect that the power could go off there. But these areas that are low-lying, it's likely the supply will be off. and including some of the high-rise buildings, some of them residential, of course, in the CBD, they're already going off now.
I know there are plenty of developments with this story, and I do want to. I know you're busy. I want to ask you a couple more questions, if you don't mind, about the more outlying areas, the places like Esk and Grantham, and further towards Toowoomba, in those Murphy's Creek catchment areas. Tell me about those places. When are they likely to get some power? Because they've been without it for a couple of days already.
There's around about, at last count, we've still got about 14,000 homes without power in the outlying areas. The Mary Valley in Gympie and the Brisbane Valley, that's through Kilcoy, Esk, Toogoolawah, not a huge amount of damage there. The issue is all the roads are cut and we can't get our vehicles in. We've already identified where the problems are by helicopter. We were able to get helicopter up today. So as soon as the water subsides, which I understand...
Hey peeps, that concludes that piece because the video's getting a bit too long. And you tune in to the next one for more on the Queensland flood crisis. So, thanks, and make sure to watch part whatever it is now.